beautiful geekables. Welcome to my new subscribers and hello again to my returning subscribers. So if you are a Walking Dead fan, then you know that The Walking Dead has come to a close. It has ended. And we've gone on a long journey with them. And some things were tied, some loose ends were tied up, and some, I believe, felt like they weren't. Here's the kicker. I came across a channel called Skybound. And Skybound does something called a rundown. And they do each season and they recap it. And I've been told, because I knew about the channel, and I've also been told that it's hilarious. So since it's completed, I figured we should revisit it and see just how hilarious Skybound is. Now, if you have not seen The Walking Dead, there will be spoilers in this because they're doing the full recap. So exit now. Exit now. You know the Joe. Exit now. Come back after you've seen it because we don't want to spoil, right? But I have seen The Walking Dead. I've watched them. And I'm interested to see how much he's going to make me laugh. So I've got my headphones in and we're going to do this. We're going to start with season 1, the full recap. Let's see what Skybound does. Ready? Play.
The Walking Dead is about to enter its 7th season, continuing the chronicles of Rick and his ever-evolving group of survivors.
We thought this would be the perfect opportunity to catch you up on the events leading up to, well, you know what.
So here's a refresher for those of you who don't want to spend 2.5 days binging the series up until season 7. I'm Ian Start.
And I'm Brian Mitchell.
And this is the Skybound Rundown.
This is already good.
The series begins on a desolate open road. No sign of life other than a car approaching in the distance. Enter Sheriff Rick Grimes, walking along abandoned cars looking for gas. He encounters a little girl walker who he then shoots in the head.
I remember.
Flashback to Rick and Shane, 2 officers who get a call of a high-speed pursuit. After laying down a set of spikes, the suspect's car catches them and rolls off the side of the road. Following a quick firefight, Rick is hit, but his vest stops the bullet.
I've always wondered what that feels like.
It's probably like a really tiny, really powerful punch. Rick is then hit outside of his vest and collapses. He wakes up with Shane standing over him in the hospital. Rick begins to talk to Shane, but when he looks, no Shane. And in fact, no most people on Earth. As he wanders the streets, he finds a bike, and half of the person who owns said bike. He hops on and pedals his way to his house, but no one's home. As he sits on his lawn, Rick wakes up with 2 new friends, Morgan Jones and his son Dwayne. The next day, they step outside to let Rick try his hand at head smashing.
Hey, he's actually pretty good at it.
Yes, he is, and this is Rick's first walker kill.
Woo! This is his first walker kill.
The trio then embarks to the police station to stock up on weapons. Rick moves towards Atlanta, and Morgan and Dwayne stick around to heighten their shooting skills. While driving down the highway, Rick broadcasts a message to contact other people.
And would you look at that, other people.
Back to Rick, who has 0 gas, but has gained 1 horse. He giddy-ups on over to Atlanta and enters the city. Turns out there are a ton of walkers here as well. Who'd have thought? Rick finds himself in a pickle and is knocked off his horse, who is then devoured by the ensuing horde. A brief moment of silence for the horse. He nearly corners himself trying to escape underneath a tank, but climbs in through an open hatch on the bottom. All hope is lost until...
Yeah, you in the tank. Cozy in there?
Meanwhile, Lori and Shane are sexing in the dirt. God damn it, Shane. In Atlanta, Rick escapes the tank and meets Glenn. He intros Rick to Andrea, Morales, Theodore, and Jackie, who aren't happy he led walkers to them. Meet Merle Dixon, who doesn't like the group's tood. He almost beats T-Dog to death, but Rick restores order and handcuffs him to a drain pipe.
That's one angry redneck.
Rick notices a construction site not too far away. They can escape via van. Shit.
So what now?
Rick chops up a dead walker to cover themselves with the smell of undead blood to go undetected.
Too fucking shay, Rick.
Too fucking shay.
He hands Merle's cuff keys over to Theodore. The group monitors RNG from the roof. Theodore tries calling out for help on the radio once more. Dale tries talking back to T-Dog, but loses him. The camp begins to worry, but Shane advises them to stay put. Meanwhile, Rick and Glenn stagger through the streets cautiously. Double shit. Rain begins to pour, washing the blood off.
So intense
they barely get to the van. Glenn steals a super dope, sleek red Dodge Challenger. He speeds the loud muscle car away, distracting walkers from the store.
Go, Glenn.
The others run downstairs to meet Rick, and T-Dog decides to give Merle the key. He trips, and the key, in ultra-dramatic slow motion, falls down a drain.
That was
well, that's awkward.
T-Dog chains the door behind him so walkers can't get to Merle. The team gets into the van and they get away just in time.
Episode 3 opens with a stranded Merle. Panic sets in quickly as walkers flood to the roof. Rick is amongst the returning posse, which makes for one hell of a dramatic reunion.
Yeah.
Later, Rick thanks Shane for everything he's done.
God damn it, Shane.
Rick then tucks in Carl and snuggles up to Lori in their tent.
Carl's right there.
Carl!
Right?
The next morning, Carl screams for his parents and the crew rushes to find a walker feeding on a dead deer with a few arrows lodged into its side.
Ah, the arrows.
Daryl enters with his crossbow. When they break the news of his brother Merle, Daryl takes it pretty well.
Hey, been there.
You've chucked a dozen dead squirrels at someone? Anyways, Rick then decides to go on a mission with Daryl to retrieve not just Merle, but a big-ass bag of guns.
Yeah.
T-Dog and Glenn join Rick and Daryl as they head back to Atlanta. Meanwhile, back with the group, we find out that Shane is the one who told Lori that Rick was dead. He then overhears a feud between Ed and the women, and things get heated when Ed slaps his wife Carol.
Oh, hell
Yeah.
Shane then drags Ed
Carol
away from
came
them
so
and
far.
punches his face a few times.
Yeah, Shane beats the crap out of him. Like a lot. Like, yeah, go Shane. Go. Go. Wow. Okay, Shane. Yeah. Oh, it's still going.
Rick and the others reach the roof of the department store in Atlanta to find a piece of Merle.
On the other side, Andrea and Amy go fishing. Dale notices Jim oddly digging graves on a hill. Daryl and the gang find that Merle must have cauterized his arm and busted out of the building.
Now he's a smart redneck.
They decide to go for the guns first. Shane detains Jim, who must have been dreaming. Glenn makes a run for the guns as a group of Cholo thugs appear. They kidnap Glenn, but Daryl saves the guns and holds on to the thug team. Rick and Theodore are too late, but no worries.
Rick
Glenn
got his
went through
hat
some
back.
shit in this show.
Thug teenager number 1 takes them to the gang. After some
completely forgot
deliberating,
about
they
that.
come to a conclusion.
You come back with Miguel and my bag of guns, everybody walks.
Rick and the guys decide to go back locked and loaded. They hand the kid over, but refuse to hand the guns over as well. Right before a crazy shootout,
A grandma appears?
good old Graham saves the day. She leads Rick to a nursing home in the back.
So they were a gang of nurses?
Looks like it. Rick leaves them with a few guns for protection, and Glenn leaves with them. Ah, shit. Merle has taken their van. Shane releases Jim from tree
he
jail.
laughs.
As supper begins, Dickhead Ed gets up from his tent, only to
Dickhead
find
Ed.
a walker. Amy steps out of the RV, only to find another walker. Both get bit, and the group find themselves surrounded. Rick and the others come busting through the
We went
trees
through
and
so
save the
many people
day.
in this
Rick
show.
sees his son. Amy dies in Andrea's arms, and the group is devastated.
I remember my dream now.
Yeah, that was
Why I
helpful.
dug the holes.
Oh,
Thanks, dude.
Andrea continues to mourn the death of her sister as the group recoups following the attack. While they move bodies to burn or bury, the gang finds out that Jimbo was bit.
Oh, please,
Yeah.
not Jimbo.
I'm okay, I'm okay.
No, you're not. No,
This
you're
sends
not.
Jimbo to timeout as the rest decide where to relocate to. Rick's vote is the CDC as he's confident that any military strongholds could have easily been overrun. Daryl exits the conversation to go pickaxe some walker heads. As he approaches Ed's
was
walker
always
corpse, Carol
pickaxe.
takes the pickaxe to do it herself.
See, this was the beginning of Carol's
And
arc.
take out some aggression. Amy then finally turns full walker, and Andrea weeps before putting her down. Rick then makes one last transmission to Morgan, informing him that they're moving to the CDC. As the group is on their way, the RV breaks down and Jimbo
This
makes a
RV.
hefty life or death decision.
Leave me here.
Goodbye, Jimbo.
Rick and the gang finally reach the outside of the
It's just
CDC, but the ground is littered with walkers. Just as they're about to retreat, Rick sees a remote camera move above the door and pleads for whoever is inside to let them in. At the last second, the door pops open and light pours out onto the group like a gift from the gods.
Leading to a flashback. Shane doesn't hear a heartbeat from Rick, so he leaves his best friend behind.
That's how
He
you
blocks
check a
Rick's
heartbeat?
room with a hospital
Like, really?
bed and runs.
We owe this whole series to that hospital bed.
The gang meets Dr. Edwin Jenner and Vi, the smart
I
computer who
remember
runs
him.
the facility.
Hello, guests. Welcome.
The group celebrates until Shane asks Jenner where the other doctors are. It's pretty obvious.
Dude, you are such a buzzkill, man.
Shane drunkenly tries to explain to Lori why he thought Rick had died. He forces himself onto Lori, who scratches the shit out of him, and then he stumbles out. God damn it, Shane.
Seriously,
The
Shane.
group wakes up and notices Shane's scratch.
Must have done it in my sleep.
That seems reasonable to me.
Jenner shows them digital recordings of the brain of someone turning into a walker. He knows nothing else, and everyone begins to understand. There's nothing left. But there is a timer counting towards decontamination of the CDC in the event of a full power failure or terrorist attack. The decontamination means that the CDC will self-destruct.
Man,
It's
I'm
gonna
gonna
go
get shit
boom.
faced drunk.
Again.
Jenner locks the doors and won't let anything out. The test subject he recorded brain images of, TS-19, was his wife. She asked him to work until the very end. Rick asked Jenner for the same thing. Jenner opens the door, and the group runs upstairs with only a few minutes left on the timer. Jackie decides to stay behind, and so does Andrea. Dale won't leave without her. A couple of axe hits, chair swings, and gunshots don't break the windows. But here comes badass Melissa McBride with a grenade. Kaboom! They sprint to the vans. Andrea and Dale decide not to die. There isn't enough time to pull away, so everyone ducks.
Boom. I mean,
Is
it
everyone safe?
really went boom.
Looks like it. They drive away, holding on to the only thing they still have. Hope.
Where will they go from here? What horrors will they face?
So
what
many.
lies in the great beyond of this wretched world?
You guys will have to find out in our Season 2 recap during next week's episode of The Skybound Rundown.
We'll be covering a season a week to catch you up for the premiere of Season 7, so stay tuned every Monday for another recap of AMC's The Walking Dead.
Subscribe to our channel and like and comment on the video below. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
I am subscribed to the Skybound Rundown. I thought that was very well done, and I think it's pretty funny. So I will be continuing to watch those, and hopefully you'll be continuing. I can't speak. Continuing to watch them with me. All right, my beautiful geekables. Did you It's been so long since I've seen season 1. Were you going with the same thing with me? Like, wow, I didn't remember that. Wow, yeah, I remember them. I feel like we've gone through so much with the crew that it's I completely forgot half the people that were there. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if I want to do a watch through again. But this is kind of like a nice little recap. Makes me happy. All right, my beautiful geekables, you know the drill. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I'll see you next time. Bye.